I have had a bunch of messages, questions, inquiries regarding my inflatable kayak build since the Kayak Adventure Series broodstock. It got a bit of attention because of that, and I figured I'd do a brief video uh, with kind of the general layout and build of this thing. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail, mostly because NRS has discontinued the Star Rival fish, and as far as I know, the NRS Cuda, which is the same boat with a couple minor changes. You know, if you're just getting into it, or thinking about an inflatable build, I would point you towards Innovative Sportsman and all the work they're doing. They've really, addressed some of the issues with inflatable kayaks and especially fishing from them. Durability issues and things like that, and the work that they're doing between Jeff and Trey is pretty phenomenal. And I would definitely point out the Little Stuff YouTube channel, Jeff Little. His inflatable kayak playlist is an absolute wealth of knowledge if you're getting into this and want to put together your own. So one of the most important things on this boat in particular is you'll notice that there's a bit of a sweep on both the bow and the stern of this boat. And if you're going to motorize it, you have to combat this sweep somehow for a level motor mount platform. Innovative Sportsman sells an awesome kit for that. This boat being discontinued, I'm not sure how much longer that's going to be a thing. I used an old rugged inline mount that they make, or made. I'm not sure that Trey makes this anymore, and mounted directly to my frame up here with wing nuts, so that way I can still access this rear valve. The NRS Cudas, that's not an issue. They moved that valve up to the bow. All 80/20 framing aluminum. Get 1.5 inches. It will accommodate your T-bolts. If you use 1 inch, I had this laying around and I used it here. But the carriage bolts I've used down here, you have to grind them down. And if you don't have grinders or the equipment to do it, it's a real pain in the ass. Boondocks landing gears. The wheels, in my opinion, are a must. Because even though it's fully rigged, this thing is still pretty light. The nature of the inflatable boat, it just doesn't drag well. You don't have that hard plastic that's sliding across rocks. It tends to grab everything. The wheels are a must on this thing for me. As far as the steering lines too, I should point that out back here. There's a hole that tends to run right through the middle of the framing aluminum. And you can run 1/4 inch polypro like ice maker line. You can pick it up at any big box hardware store. You can run that up, and I actually come out right here at an angle and up to the foot control steering. You do want to be mindful of your angle because if your Spectra rubs on this, it will start wearing through. You can take a file and kind of soften that edge, and that'll help a little bit. The Boondocks console up front. The three things that I really like to point out with this particular rig is the console, the wheels, and all the way in the back, the motor mount. These cross supports are all super important because if you don't have them, your frame is just not nearly as rigid. I tie it down here with some of the factory seat straps down to the molly just to keep it from wiggling. But I mean, if you look at it, I can move the whole boat, one hand, and it's all very, very tight. It's rigid. The way I mounted here, these are actually left over from the landing gear install on the Shoaly. And I did it this way specifically. As a tournament angler, you kind of want to cover all the bases that you can. And you try and work yourself through so many what if scenarios. And one of the big what ifs of an inflatable is, what if I have a catastrophic failure? So I I have 2 of these Star Rival Fish kayaks, identical. These are the factory switch pads that come on it. So with very little adjustment, I can remove this whole frame as one piece and move it onto a separate boat in a matter of about 10 or 15 minutes. I can have an entire other second boat rigged, repair this one. By the time this one is done being repaired, if you've never repaired an inflatable, it's pretty easy. It's not a long process. The longest part is the cure times. I can have another boat rigged while it fix this one, and by the time I get done fishing one day, the other boat is good to go. And again, I will say Innovative Sportsman kind of eliminates that by double skinning their pontoons and all the high wear areas, and they just hold up. I specifically wanted to go up here and talk a little bit about the anchor. River fishing, bow anchor. I don't use it all the time, but I would say that like not going out on a river without some anchor, especially off the bow, I just don't like to do it. The rope will start to wear at like some of this seam of just lifting and lowering and stuff like that. This is just 1/8 inch Kydex. You can thermoform this thing specifically to the bow, and with the PVC adhesive HH66, you can attach Kydex to high wear points, like where the anchor line comes over the bow of the boat and stuff like that. And you can add that wherever else you want. You can also add things like additional switch pads and mounts, which I've done here, just for my anchor, and over here I've got a cup holder and stuff like that. I also, for these ones, they come with seat straps. I highly recommend getting like the NRS micro cams or the Yak Attack, the short Yak Attack cam straps, because you can get a lot more compression out of your seat. Thanks for watching and sticking with me through that. If, like I said, if you have any questions regarding details of building an inflatable, this particular build, anything nuances, questions, concerns, anything regarding inflatables, feel free to reach out to me and send me a direct message. I will probably be most responsive on Instagram, Parker Fishing 1242. Follow along too. I'm constantly tinkering and rigging and trying new stuff. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got something from it. Give it a thumbs up if you did.